Hello, everybody. Welcome to Time to Come Alive. Once again, I am Valerie Hope. I am your coach, and I'm also your host today. Well, I'm your host every day, every Tuesday. And I'm always so excited to introduce you to conversations with people who help us become more conscious of ourselves, more conscious of our thoughts, our emotions, also more connected, right? We have an opportunity to connect with others when we become more conscious. And ultimately, being conscious and connected leads us to create worlds, create projects, to create services, anything that we want in this world that we think will continue to move our purpose forward. And I will introduce our special guest in just a moment. A couple things, if you're watching this live or you're watching this recorded, please make sure that you tweet, you update your social media posts, let people know that you're watching Time to Come Alive, or share the link with them if you're watching this as a recording. Because what this will help you do is continue to have these conversations. Once the conversation on our end is done, you can talk about this with your friends and family afterwards. I want to welcome you and invite you to do that. Now, before we actually start the conversation, as you know, I'd like to take a moment just to be mindful and prepare how we should listen to this conversation. The topic today, we're going to be talking a lot about courage. We're going to talk a lot about what it takes to live a fulfilled life. And before we do that, I want you to think about what it took you. And as we start, I welcome you to find a comfortable way to sit, if you're sitting or if you're standing, to be comfortable and grounded wherever you are. Let's take a couple of deep breaths just to get the mind focused and relaxed in the present moment. And then I want you to think about either closing your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, or softening your gaze so that you can really start looking inward. Take a moment to do that. Now, think of the last time that you did something that perhaps you're afraid to do or nervous, and yet you did it anyway. Think of an occasion. Perhaps it was confronting someone. Perhaps it was letting go of someone. Maybe it was a time when you had to change your career, or perhaps choosing to stay put in a particular career path. Maybe it was a beginning. Perhaps it was leaving a relationship. Maybe there's a time where you've had to speak up, and that created some nerves or anxiety. Or perhaps there was a time where you had to remain silent. Each of those moves constitute an act of courage. Whether it's stepping up or stepping back, every single move makes life more interesting. It builds our resilience to confront situations in the future, and ultimately makes it easier to move forward, makes it easier to make the same moves or take the same steps. I want you to take a moment to honor that part of you that says yes, even if you're afraid. Honor that part of you that says no, even if you're afraid. If every single time you honor that part of you, you'll find that you'll grow bolder and bolder every single step. Now, reward that thought by gifting yourself a smile. And just take another couple of deep breaths. You might open your eyes or refocus your gaze. All right, welcome back. Now, for the most exciting part of this conversation, I have a really special guest. His name is Jenss Trumpa. We'll be talking with Jenss in just a moment, but I did want to give you some context for how Jenss and I know each other. We met, oh my gosh, Jenss, what was it, we decided 24 years ago, perhaps?
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
96.
Oh my goodness, yeah, 1996. And his wife actually all participated in a program called Up with People, where we had the opportunity to travel together. We did community service, we performed a musical, and all of those experiences were shared with 100 plus others from different countries and different cultures. And Jenss and I, although we didn't become very close friends during that time, we've stayed connected through Facebook over the years. And, Jenss, my memories of you, even though we were friends, you stood out because I remember you always wore really colorful clothing. So, colorful clothing. I don't know if you were like a magician or a juggler or something. You had some type of, some skills that you express yourself so differently from a lot of other people, especially the other Europeans in the group. Find out in a moment, but Jenss is from Germany. So as we talk, you'll hear a little bit more about his journey. And I've even noticed on Facebook that some of the that you do with your kids seem to harken back to 96.
No,
oh my gosh, they're like mini Jenss. So welcome.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Everyone. Thank you for having me on this wonderful morning show.
Yay.
I'm ready.
Good, I'm glad.
Raw, fun, and real.
I'm excited, good. Yeah, so tell us something about yourself, something interesting that people might be surprised to hear, or perhaps people expect to hear about you.
Expect you. I mean, you told me I'm German, but I think since we started talking, is the most intriguing for me is that I'm trying to live my life right now, I think, not from the standpoint of being German, having come to the US with a certain profession, with a certain this, but I kind of ended up in the US. Never had the intention to live here, but also learned that I was supposed to live here, and now kind of rebirthing life in a way as an American in a way. Like, how do I live my life from that point of view, rather than saying, identifying with any nation or anything, as like coming from that. And then to that, I am going through a lot of different work experiences that once we talk about it, I can get, I don't know.
Well, let's just jump right in. So, well, first of all, let's talk about the German part, because I just want people to have a little clarity. So you said you were supposed to be here, like.
So I grew up, so I born, raised in Germany. When I was 16, I wanted to be an exchange student in Australia. There was no spot open. I wanted to go to Jamaica, couldn't get in there. Went to Indiana, a small town in the Midwest, which is like the quintessential American experience for a 16-year-old, ending in this small town where it's just raw America, talking about raw, which in hindsight is the best experience I could have had, because it gives me a perspective of the whole country in a way, because I would have never probably moved there. But since I was there here, it gave me enough insight, it gave me enough friends to still be connected. But anyway, then I went back to Germany, lived my life, and then I ended up traveling Up with People who are based in Denver, who are based in the US. And then I ended up even then after that year, I went back to Europe, did my thing, did my school, did my university, and then ended up reconnecting with my wife, Jenny, and I ended up living in Hawaii in the US. But when I said I was never intended to, I was never had the goal of, hey, I want to move to the US, I want to be there, so yet over the years I realized there was a reason for it somehow. Otherwise, life wouldn't have been like, okay, you're gonna go as an exchange student. Okay, you don't get it. We're gonna have you travel again. Okay, you still don't get it. So now let's get you married. So then you're really tight.
So that was the game plan.
I don't know. It's my guess. I don't know. But like I don't know. I think the fact that it wasn't on my radar to do so enabled me to learn a lot of things. Because if you don't want to do something, if you consciously or not, you have judgment. There's a reason why you either want to do something or you don't want to do something, or you think you don't want to do something, which a lot of time is preconceived ideas or not even. So anyway, through not having it on my plan, I don't know, I closed a lot of doors, but they also made you aware of why I shut those doors. The doors, I shut doors in my life because, as an example, so I moved when I ended up moving to the US. I was very critical of it because it was never in my plan. You know, I had a career in Germany that I would have loved to do. I loved my life there. So then you come over and all of a sudden you have these preconceived ideas, negative mindset. And then for years, for time to come, you don't see opportunities through it because you're blinding yourself with, like, I don't know, ideas that I completely.
Give us an example of an idea that blinded you, and then.
So we moved in. The perfect example is we moved to Texas. You know, I was like in the process of getting my green card and all this. So you can't really work, you can't really do anything. I don't want to be here. And then not seeing that, for instance, Jenny's brother which is a little example, had a printing business. And I could have easily said, hey, you know what? I can't really do anything. I can't really work anything. Why don't I go there every day and learn how to screen print t-shirts? Why don't I go there, do this? Or why don't I get involved with German lessons in that town where there's a German teacher? And like anything, like you kind of like little things where you kind of almost like, no, I shouldn't do this because I'm above it. Whatever, maybe not above it, but like, hey, it shouldn't be what I do. And then in retrospect, you're like, okay, I had 6 months to do this, I had 6 months to do that. By just being so caught up in your own little misery, you lost life experiences that can be refreshing.
So what did you do to reverse that idea? Change that?
To change the mindset? I don't know, I mean, life teaches you, because then, I mean, if you keep doing it, you become eventually you would become miserable. Because I think if we have this mind, like, opportunities they're presented to us. But if we don't take the step towards it, how you said with the courage, if we don't pick up that phone to call someone, if we don't do a certain thing we feel like we want to do, but we're afraid of doing, then we kind of get miserable in our little life cell. Mm-hmm. So as you progress and you feel like, why am I doing this? Why are opportunities not coming to me? I think you become more aware of it, because all of a sudden, like, I don't know, you have to take charge of yourself in life at some point. But I think what eventually happened is you run into enough issues that you also start, like, I don't know, you introduce to people that walk that talk already, that were made aware, let's call it aware, and say, like, hey, listen up, you know, you're the creator of your life, you know, you have to wake up and there's no pressure, but it's all up to you. It's your responsibility. So just that awareness. But I have a long way to go, because in a way I'm not much further than I was 15 years ago, with the difference though that I'm more aware. To take certain steps to gain more clarity and focus. Focus that I think it's a big key to many things.
You know, you mentioned something interesting about, so obviously you had a specific idea of what your life was going to look like, and you kind of hop back and forth between here, the US and Germany, identifying all those moves to make. What what mindset did you have to finally adopt in order to kind of let things go and allow things to just show up and be as they were?
I mean, so for one, I don't think I've reached that point really yet, but
I don't think any of us have.
And my life wasn't really like I wasn't really in the tracks either, because otherwise I wouldn't have been an exchange student seeking something else. I wouldn't have gone to Up With People seeking something else. But I think what happened afterwards, I kind of finally like, oh, I thought I found my path that I want to go, and that I feel like that I should do and would have fun with. And I think what happened is like so we all have lessons in life, I think, that we have to learn and go through. And I think one of them is like my lesson is gaining courage in something that maybe is dear to my heart. I don't know. So going to that, like even this duality of things wasn't more like, hey, I was on this path and I really should be on there. I think at that moment I was like, I felt like I finally found what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go in life. And then all of a sudden, like this, so I finished university, I worked in the field, I had these job offers, but I did go backpacking for a year because I said, oh, one of my life wanted to go backpacking. So there's a reason why I wanted to do that. So it can't be that I was like 100% on this path, knowing this is the right thing. There must have been something that was like, no, let's make sure, that. And then I backpacked for 2 years and basically never came back. But then you had this bitterness of like, no, I wanted to go backpack for a year and then go in my safe nest and continue there, thinking like this is the holy grail of life and all the joy. And you know how we fabricate things in hindsight. So what opened it up later on though is, I think, I think the biggest revelations in our life come when we fail, when we completely feel like we hit rock bottom. And then it's usually either related to financials or to relationships. So there are enough experiences where all of a sudden had to be like, hey, why is this happening to me? You're like, why is this happening to me? And as I said, realizing, just hearing it often enough is like, it's happening to you because you are the one that is asking for it, is wanting it. So, and I said, I'm right in the beginning of the journey where it's like, what changed this? And I'm right there where I'm like, okay, I'm realizing, okay, I got to take these steps. I got to have the courage the first step is finding the courage to, what is it that is in us that we want to live? Like, what is it really? And what is trained by our life, our ideas, what is made up and not really what we want, but we feel like we want. So I'm in the process of finding that clarity, that focus. Because even from a month ago, which is good when we talked, it's like, looking back on it, it's like, hey, what is it in that, what I said then? What is it that I really want? And what was just like I felt I wanted to say at that moment. So, but I think
you mean when we did the vision exercise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what I don't know, what opens your eyes a little bit in life is just like feeling completely desperate and feel like when you fail completely, when you're like in this moment of like, holy shit, this is like, and then you have the choice, what is like, and that's what I came to, is like, what do I have control over? What can I really control? And what can I just bitch about and wouldn't give me the same? And I don't know if that answers the question a bit, but it's like.
Well, I think it opened up more questions.
I like it.
So I want you to think about one of those failures and one of those rock bottom moments, right, that you've had in your life. You have 3 kids, 4?
3.
3. How old are they?
When I hear people have 4 kids, I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot. But 3 is, it's like, it's good too.
It's a good number. How old are your children?
12, 14, and 4.
Okay, 12.
So it's 2 plus 1.
Okay, got it.
So if you ask our older kids, they have 1 child.
Got it. They've also had to take care of them.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, this rock bottom moment that you had, if you had to sit down with your 14-year-old and talk about what the moment was and why it was a lesson, a positive lesson, what would you tell your 14-year-old?
I mean, that's tricky because
I know.
so in a way, he has type 1 diabetes, which type 1D, which for a 14-year-old is he goes through his own rough stuff. He is hitting rock bottom. So all I know, and as I said earlier, it's like in those moments when we hit rock bottom, we realize as long as I'm breathing, as long as I'm alive, somehow I made it, And then you realize somehow there was somebody there, one person, more people, something that carried me through, that helped me through, that I could rely on if I notice it or not. There was something there that made sure that things are okay, I think. So it's like for him, I would be like, since it's my son, I would be like, hey, whatever it is, like you can't take the load of them. I can't take away the lesson you have to learn. I can't take away what bothers you, but what I can give you is that trust that somebody is there that tries to understand as best as I can, but also that is just there to support, that you can completely rely on. And I think it's like, as I said, we feel like we're in this life alone. Like that's where and I don't know if like society, as we have progressed, is trying to push that. Yet, who bakes their own bread? Who makes their own meat? We eat stuff all day long. We drive on roads. We didn't make this ourselves. Yet we feel like we're in charge of everything ourselves and forgetting all these. I know they say connections, that we're together, that we're and luckily research is catching up that we are connected, that you can measure it, that we are doing better together, that we shouldn't be judged individually, but we should be judged what we do as a collective. But my son, all I can offer at the moment is like, hey, I'm here, but there's this foundation below you, that net, that whatever you do is just there. Unconditional. Is that unconditional, I don't know, love in that sense, like no judgment in a way. And I think that's what I'm learning right now too, is like this, once you become vulnerable, once you hit rock bottom, you realize that all judgment we have is just trying to protect ourselves in a false way. It's like of thinking other people would judge us when they're way too busy thinking about like what they think others think, like, but for him it would be that trust, that's like, hey, like there is always somebody there to help you or just be there, just be like, there's no, yeah.
That's interesting. So it sounds like you would want your son to know that you're there for him no matter what.
Yep.
That he's not.
And I'm hoping that so with all that happening, so it's like when we knew we had a child, and I was like, you know what, I do want to be there. I want to be with a child and have that connection. The path I took, I think, like anything in retrospect, maybe wasn't the best path. But the one thing I hope is that I don't know, that he does, that I don't need to say it. That I don't need to say, hey, I'm always there for you. That he knows it. And they said he has to know it, it's like you can hear it, you can listen to it, but the knowing is from the inside. So I'm hoping that he knows that I'm there. And that's something only life can kind of build up, the words can only do so much. So
who was that person for you? Who was that person that was there for you?
So that's so hitting these moments, like that's when you become aware of it. But I know for ones that my mom is there at all times, and then I have a good friend in LA there's some people who always pop up at the right moment in the right time. And then also, so they're kind of like, I think my main foundation, that if everything collapsed, they would be there. And then I think in other parts in life, there's always I think we can't put all the pressure on one person in for anything, all the pressure of, hey, I want to have this person has to inspire me, this person has to challenge me, this person I want to have fun with, this person I want to have a family with. It's like I think we can spread these things out too. It's like, hey, there's a person there that like a good friend in Hawaii was always there when I needed to tow a car. And I was always there when he needed to tow his car. And there was the bond we had, as funny as it was, it's like, hey, we could rely on each other getting ourselves out of car trouble. It's like, okay, that's a person that I could rely on in this aspect. Or there's another person that if you have a shitty day, you just need somebody to give you a mindful, light, refreshing insight on life. It's like, hey, I could talk to this person.
Yeah.
But I have to say, what I learned in the past is, and I don't know, for many of us, I sometimes think that, and me being the dad, the dad is there to challenge you in a way, and the mom naturally is the one that is just there. They're like the rock in the ocean. I don't know if and it's not for everyone, but I definitely feel like I have my mom who I don't know where I can absolutely trust her, and despite the fact that of course she has opinions, I can also
Despite the fact she has opinions.
she is also unconditional. She can also, like, if she would need, like, I can have my opinion, but I would still act in a way to completely have you that I can trust her.
Mm.
And then I said this other person, my friend Mark too, he's like, he would be there, and I would be there for these people too. It's like, hey, and then it becomes mutual, if shit hits the fan and I need to be there, then that's what it is. But
Those are your people.
But those are the main pillars, and then there's other ones that I think, and that's why it's called a net. It's not just one string. You cannot just two strings or one string. To hit that is really hard, But you need those two, if that's a metaphor, you need big ropes to hold the little ropes to create a net. In a way.
That's a great, yeah, I love that metaphor. I did a podcast about creating a personal board of directors, which essentially pointing to what you said, that you can't put all the pressure on just one person, that there are certain people in our lives that are there for different reasons, and they're provide a different type of support. But our job is to be mindful about who we attract or invite to be part of that net. I really like that.
And then what I like about you is that you nurture those. Like how you said, you actually started to be like, okay, I need to nurture those and I need to put it on my calendar. Otherwise, you forget. And I saw that, and that's another reason. There's friendships that come and go. And then there's friendships that shouldn't come and go, but they go because they're not nurtured.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, hey, sometimes we have to put effort in. And I don't know because I just saw it the other day again, there's this Harvard study, has been must be 80 years now, where they in 1938 took sophomores from Harvard and then a group of people from the slums of Boston, and they followed these people through all life, trying to find out what is the main thing that indicator that predicts happiness and health and wealth, and they say the one major thing is social connections. That's the one only thing. Whereas back then, or they asked millennials, no, it's like, what is your main goal in life? It's usually wealth or fame. But then they see these people and did this long study, and they say social connection is the one thing that at age 50, if somebody has strong social connections, he's healthy at age 80, and he also perceives physical pain differently. He can cope with it differently. And then the question is like, why don't we humans do it? It's old, like it's kind of wisdom, but it's that nurturing. It's that time you have to put in that is not sexy at times. It's the time you have to put in, like how you go through conflict with friends, and then working through it, or you have to put in time where even sometimes, hey, I'd rather sit on the couch than supporting my friend giving a speech or just being there when they have problems, So it's like, it takes time to do so. So I think we humans forget that social connection is what keeps us alive.
Absolutely. And that's how it's always been. We're wired that way. But kind of going back to what you said, we create this, self-protection. We put this judgment out that is really to protect us. although we don't say that we don't feel safe.
Yeah.
It says, I don't feel safe right now, so I'm going to shut a little bit. We say something or do something that will push the other person away rather than inviting them in to figure out, how can we feel safe in this relationship? How can I begin to trust, or how can I begin to open up? I'm going to shift gears a little bit, Jenss, because one of the reasons that I reached out to you for this conversation was about a post that you made on your Facebook page. It's probably been over a month now, where you were invited by your alma mater in Germany to come and do a speech to, imagine, a group of high school students about your life and what you've learned and what you studied and all of that. And you posed the question to your Facebook friends about whether or not you should do it, because you didn't feel at the time that you were the person that they thought that you should be. So tell us about that experience. And, well, first of all, tell us, what was the invitation and what was it about it that made you decide to ask for advice from your friends?
So I think, so as we tied in, just to tie it all in, so how you say, we build up a wall when we feel unsafe in a way. Maybe to tie that back in, why I was like, quote unquote, anti-American coming over. I wouldn't say anti-American, but was this that people over here or here have a quality that I didn't have in a way? Is that more, not that I'm not outgoing, but having that courage and going towards something that scares us a little and be open to learn something that I want to learn, but I can't do yet. And instead of opening up to it and just going for it, you close off. You become judgmental and you see it as like, I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't do that. So then when that speech thing came around, and that's why I said I'm still right at the beginning of learning it all for myself, and at least I'm becoming aware, is like building up that courage to do something in life that is meaningful to me, and then having the courage to learn it, to say like, hey, I can't do this and I'm learning this. So when the speech thing came around, so these are all high school kids and they're all like AP, like the way high schools are there, it's like this, the advanced placement kids. So they're all 90% probably going to go to university and get their master's. Yet here I am, when I got it, I'm working at a banquet center. I don't need to be trained for it. I worked late nights and cleaning up dirty plates and going through the dumpster to pick out a fork that fell in there. And so here I am doing that, having to speak to kids that have done great work. Not even if it was their choice or not, but they brought in all this hard work to get a degree in something that opens up doors to them that have to do with academics or like using the brain in a really big way. And here I am not living it. And then I'm like, okay, how am I? So that's your first thought. It's like, how am I supposed to tell them something that brings them forward and encourage them to like continue on the gift they worked on in God and really live it. And here I am, as I said, like struggling financially, working something that I feel like doesn't match my potential. So what do I do? And then there was the one side of me, and then the other side of me is like, personally, I'm learning so much about entitlement, about like, why am I the one that should be entitled and think like I shouldn't do this work, when even at this work, there is 90% of the other workers that are way better at me at this job than I am. So it also teaches me a lot, but it's a duality of like, hey, can I give this speech or not? And I'm having to face my own battle by going back there and being like, hey, life, you gave me this great opportunity, open this big door to something where you could go a path that you could challenge yourself mentally, and like that it's an open door to like going to university is an amazing experience, which I did. And even with that, I didn't really do anything. So
well,
then
let me interrupt 1 second. I want to give people some context as to. So you went to the school that they're asking you. That's your alma mater, right? So this is
yeah.
So you were an AP student. You pursued your education. Did you get a master's?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so so this so what you just painted a picture of the student that was you
In a
20
way, yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so giving I just want to give everybody some
Yeah,
context.
totally.
Guy, you're that guy, and now you are you're a father of three. You are a banquet server in a banquet center. You're a realtor. You have all these side hustles, and what you're saying is that what you got in your education in your formative years doesn't reflect what they expected you would become.
In a way, like even what I would expect, in a way. Like I said, it becomes really personal in the sense of like let's say they gave you tools, they gave you the material, and instead of building an amazing house, you just put it all in a pile and burned it up in some way. Like that's what like that's one side of your mind looking at it. It's like, hey, it wasn't there was nobody that took away the tools from me to build something. There was nobody that took the pen and paper way that I could have drawn out the house I wanted to build. It was me who basically just didn't do it, and just for whatever reason. And I think that ties in with like the whole courage thing, but didn't do it. I hadn't like, and then you go back to us, okay, the lesson I could have learned when I was 18, 19, 20, my mid 20s, mid 30s, I still haven't learned, which then, like we all on our personal path in life, but yet I have to face it. Like I have to face, and that's why it was so interesting. So for one, there's two things. For one, okay, what can I tell them that would inspire them to continue to like to utilize the tools they got, but also to acknowledge their own interests, their own passions. And then the other thing is like, okay, I'm facing going back there. How he said, I did what I was supposed to do, and I did in a way what like I didn't mind doing, but as if for some reason there's a missing piece somewhere. Um, and then you kind of like you have to, and I still have to. It's in June, so I still have to go back there and face all that, where you judge yourself, you feel judged by others, and you go into the lion's den and kind of have to like come to terms with it, And then I think I'm old enough now and like aware enough and going through the journey enough that it's also a good step that it happens now, because that enables me to propel forward afterwards, saying, okay, I've done all this. Maybe I felt entitled to all this, to the education I got, to this, that I actually never was aware of that. Hey, you know what? You need the courage to learn skills. You need the courage, and you need to be vulnerable enough to acknowledge that you don't have certain skills. And you have to be vulnerable enough to ask for help, for instance, or whatever it is. But I think the first step in that sense, like, hey, got to talk in front of these kids who for good reason going to ask themselves, okay, why is he a banquet server? Why? And then I tie it all in that they maybe become aware of like, hey, we should never feel completely entitled. We should always feel grateful in some way for what we got. And that also, like, another lesson I'm learning is it was never meant for me. Like, that school was never meant for me. It was for me being a German kid that grew up there. Going to university was for me being a citizen of that country, having that privilege. But that's when I moved to the US, it didn't matter what university I went to. It was a really good university, like on the level of Harvard and Stanford. When you come over here, nobody cares. And then, I wish I would have realized back then, but you realize, no, it was never meant for me to have that entitlement of, okay, I went to this university and I got these certain job offers because I went to that university. It was never meant for me. It was meant for the person that was there, for the role I played as German kid growing up there. And then becoming grateful through, it's like, oh, it was never meant for me. It was for the role I played. So now I'm realizing it's like, hey, let's face it. And then now, okay, Jens, what are you going to do with it? And so I'm either going to grow, or either going to manage to work my way towards something, or I do what I do. And let's say I'm a banquet server for the rest of my life, then I'm grateful that that's what I do. And that it was, but it's facing that, I don't know, that truth. I don't know.
That is truth. And I'm going to bring in those who are listening in just a moment. So those that are participating, please, if you have questions or comment about anything that you've heard Jenss say, or you'd like to ask him some more questions about anything, feel free to, in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself or write it in the chat just to let us know that you want to say something. As you're thinking of that, I do want to make a comment. I think you said something that was very powerful. I don't know if you heard what you said.
I'll look at the recording later.
That's all right. You're really present right now. Just be present with me.
Yeah, I am. Raw.
What I think you said that was so powerful is that life that you were set up to have, right? The education that you were set up to have, that you were basically being trained, if you will, academically, to be entitled to a certain type of lifestyle afterwards. And what you said that was so powerful that was not meant for me. It was meant to fulfill the role that I had in the moment. And what I thought was so powerful about it is how often do we live life, we interact with life from the perspective of, I need to do this, then this, and then comes that, because that's the role we play. Whether that's the role we play as a parent, that's the role we play as a sister, that's the role we play as a company, a CEO, that's the role we play as a brother, whatever. The challenge that I think most of us face is, like you said, being able to just speak the truth. Like that, this isn't my life. This isn't what I want. This doesn't bring me to life. This is the role that I play, and man, breaking out of that role is hard. And it sounds like on the flip side, you did. It was an unintended consequence.
I'm getting there, and going back to move, and I think living in the US, plays a big part of it, because with all this, I'm for one grateful, and I love life here, as this gray zone person of not being German, not being truly American, but I truly feel blessed that I'm here. And so I'm like, so in that sense, that helped me I'm coming alive,
I love
it takes me till I'm 90, I'm there. I'm going for it. But
I hope it takes you to 90 and beyond. Most of us
should
be done now.
I know, it's like, oops. But as I said, and I remind myself, I'm alive. I'm more privileged than most people on this planet, and I think through what we call struggles in a way. And I mean, there's moments in life where you feel like you hit rock bottom, and you really do. And I acknowledge those two, where it's like I allow myself to feel like, what, I felt this way. And what I learned just in the recent years is like, I feel this way, and now let me communicate with others that I feel this way. And then for one, you realize, okay, I'm not the only person. We all go through this. We're all pretty similar in the sense of when we hit rock bottom. But then also getting that support, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, if I ask for help, people want to help, and people, and in a way, I learned this from an Up With People student in 2000 already, she would ask questions wherever we go, and I was just amazed by it, where she got through it, she got answers, and she moved on, and she kept asking. Yet I'm learning it now. It's like, we really have to ask, and people really want to help and answer questions and help when they can, and it opens up opportunities. I think on a personal level, on a professional level, great example is, so I started working as a realtor. I decided to go to the office for 30 minutes yesterday, and through that, the secretary is like, I have a lead to someone who wants to sell his house. So I called this person back right away. No clue. I have no clue what I'm doing. But I set up a meeting today after this. And then right away I was like, okay, I have no clue what I'm doing. I can't mess this up. So let me call another friend who knows what he's doing. 3 and 5 is like, hey, you want to do this together? Because I have no clue what I'm doing. Just being honest about it. I need to fake it. I'm like, I have no clue. And then now he can decide, hey, yes, I'm helping this person out and I'm doing it, or don't worry about it. You don't, because it's just a meeting to get maybe like some work. But if I just go there, I wouldn't get the work. But at least now I'm like, hey, ask for help, and then we'll see where that goes, you know. But feeling so vulnerable, saying like, I don't have a freaking clue,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Good.
Or,
And you also provide a better quality of experience for that potential customer, right?
yeah,
Because you want somebody that's going to be able to handle, ask their questions. And speaking of questions, I don't want
yeah.
to step over. I want to engage those that are on the line with us. So if you're able to unmute yourself or put in the chat, what are you getting out of the conversation so far with Jenss? What's coming up for you all? Love to hear.
See what they.
I'm,
I said like this. What we talked about goes on the personal level too. It's like, hey, I feel unloved, you know, or I feel betrayed, or I feel. And then I think a lot of times we talk about it, and I don't know, it gives us a perspective too. Once we say something, we have a different perspective rather than mulling things over. I mean, we can create all things in our brain where, I mean, we can kill the whole country with just our brain within a second. You're like, whoa, where did I go in this, you know? And then also learning to, I don't know, get a different perspective, mindful perspective, grateful perspective. And as I said, I'm so blessed in a way, the life I have. Yet it's also okay to, on my level, the issues I go through, to acknowledge them and not. And I think it might be also more European way of like dealing with problems. They deal with problems, but they also are like, no, I shouldn't have these problems. It's not. It's like where it's okay to have issues, and then acknowledging them because that's how you feel. That's how I am, and they might be completely stupid, but hey, let me acknowledge my issues. I'm in the chat. I don't see questions coming up, but
I know
ready.
that's I want to call on a couple of people here. So hear from Laura or Adriana, if you're available. I don't know where they are in the world, so they could be, maybe they're not able to. We have a comment here from Laura. Laura, if you'd like to unmute yourself, if you can, feel free to do so and share. Let's see, when Jenss said the comment that Laura made is, when Jenss said going to school was good for his role, at that time was spot on. Figuring out if you're playing a role or if you really enjoy something or dislike something is tough. Okay.
I do think we always play roles though. Like it's like you, in some way you always play a role. Yet in some roles might not feel at the time that's our role. Some roles we shouldn't play. And then some I said we have to, I mean, like my life right now, it's like today is a perfect example. So I came in here this morning to the office to prepare a little bit for the meeting at 9. So then we have this awesome talk right now. So then I go to this meeting at 9. Then, so I play a role here as raw me. Let's talk about life. Then at 9 a.m., I need to fake it in some way. I'm like an experienced realtor with the help of somebody else to give me that, and I know I can do it. I know I can do what this person needs, but yet I also know I need to learn it. But I need to play this role of an experienced realtor in a way. And then I go at 10 o'clock, I go teach survival swimming for infant and children, where I need to be this instructor in the water, nurturing person. And then right after I go to the banquet center, where I need to play the role of an obedient server in a way, of like a friendly, hey, I clean up your plates and bring what you want, no matter how demanding you are. And then once I'm done working, I'll have to head home and switch gears right away to be the family father, making dinner, being there, having fun with the kids and supporting them. So it's like, there are all these roles you play during the day. And I think, I don't know, the lesson I'm trying to learn is the more I can put my real me in there, the vulnerable me, the one who I am, not judging myself, realizing that's who I am, I think the more full the life is. You know, it's not, is a glass half full or is a glass half empty? Is, oh, there is something in the glass, and I actually have a glass. Oh, that's amazing. So how can I hold it? How would I make, how can I add me to it? But I think there's always roles. some roles we play, some roles, and that's where it becomes tricky. Like, what roles do we think we need to play? You know, even in, and that's where, what does success mean? You know, like there's a reason why greedy, like wealthy people need more wealth. You know, like how much money does one need to have a fulfilled life? So just, or actors that become drug addicts, you know, there's famous actors, like there's something missing, that they're still like, okay, what is the roles they think they're supposed to play, and what is actually the role they should play? And that's for us to find out. I mean, for us to experience and learn. And I don't know. I'm just hoping that along the way I feel, and I am feeling more and more alive. How you say you come to life, you know, you feel like, okay, it's not a journey somewhere, getting somewhere. It's not achieving something. It's more like living yourself. And then, how you said, learning, like how you do in your podcast, like, hey, I am creative in this part. And then I ask people questions and there's this dynamic all of a sudden, but I'm sure it makes you come more alive. Like, hey, that's like, I feel good afterwards. It's like, and I'll see where it takes me, you know, but you're never gonna get anywhere, like to a destination if you're like, oh, I did it, now I'm happy. You know, it's like that, the journey of coming alive that gives us breath, you know, gives us air.
I think what you're pointing to, Jens, is the distinction between being and doing.
Yeah.
In, I think, our society, we spend a lot of time figuring out, me included, you know, one of my cardinal sins is figuring things out, right? Realizing, and how do I make this move? And what should I do? And what will that person say? And how do I always try to figure things out.
Manipulating. No,
and yeah, some cases, that's how it ends up. And what you're pointing to, though, is that all of that, us trying to figure it out, is really focused on doing something. Taking a step, having a conversation, whether it's even internally. And yet, what you also point to that's more fulfilling and satisfying is calling out a way of being. And a way of being doesn't necessarily have you take certain steps or be a certain role. It simply is the type of energy that you bring to whatever situation. And, you know, I think when you said, how do you be more fully you in any role that you play? That's where the magic happens. Most of us spend so much time in education trying to figure out what we want to do in life, what career we want to have, what kind of school we want to go to, who we want to marry, whatever that road is. And we don't spend a lot of time thinking about who we want to be.
But also as part of it, though, like I think, and that's where it goes back to talking to these kids at school. Yes, enjoy having the privilege of being able to do something, or people who gain a certain wealth, you know, you have the right to it, enjoy it, and maybe don't let it consume you, but don't deny yourself of a relationship, you know, don't like enjoy the worldly things, you know, but as you said, you have to be in it, you know, like, and you can be like, and you learn that from, like, let's say a homeless person, you know, I mean, they have the biggest struggles they have out there. Yet we drive by judging them, you know, why don't they go and work there? I'm like, they didn't get the chance. They don't have the chance for whatever reason. And so if they can be in who they are, you know, why can't I should be who I am, whatever role I'm in, you know, and it's okay to not like something, which is important for life, to realize we don't have to do everything in life. We do have the choice as a human to do certain things in life. You do have the choice of what you do, your podcast, like, and that's what I meant, or that's what I'm thinking right now. It's like, okay, I do have the choice, but as long as I'm not focused enough or skilled enough or have the courage enough to do something else, then let me be grateful for the stuff that I have that gives me an income, that enables me to stay alive physically, and then be in it too, and be like, hey, then yeah, let me be grateful, because in a way I chose to be here. Nobody forces me to do anything. so let me treat this moment as a grateful moment that I chose to be here at this moment. Nobody else did. But I said, it's how you say, like I said, duality of thing. We have to do. Sometimes we just have to do. Look at a 2-year-old. They just do. Because they know by doing, I'm going to realize, okay, I don't like falling down. So I'm going to learn how to walk, It's like, but they just do it, non-judgmental. They don't judge themselves. They don't put judgment on what's better and what's not. And maybe that's where we as society have a hard time with. And I don't know what the best way is, but we putting emphasis on certain professions that we treat with higher respect, that we treat with more like they get paid better, and treat others with less respect, with equal like importance for society. I have the highest respect for janitors. Like they clean up the shit. They treat it like shit, yet they have to show up every day being happy to do so. And yet we as society decided, okay, you're worth less than Valerie over here giving a talk, whereas not downplaying either, but just giving the respect to both. And I think since we have that, it's hard, we start judging ourselves and putting pressure on ourselves to do a certain role. I have to play this role. Oh, hey, Adriana.
I have a thought.
Jump in there, Adriana. And if you can put your video on, that would be even better.
Yoo-hoo.
Oh, no video today.
No video.
Sorry.
All right, go for it.
Sorry. I was just thinking about, what you're saying about the different roles and how seriously we take life when you say your expectation is I'm supposed to do X, Y, Z all day, or I'm preparing to be X, Y, Z. I heard somebody one time compare life to a video game. And I don't know if that was you, Valerie, that told me, or somebody at one point said life is almost like a video game. You play the game and you mess up and you have to start back over. And then you learn from that mess up how to get back past the second level and the third level. And then you learn these little tricks along the way that maybe last video game I ever played was like Mario Brothers, right? Where you learned how if you got up the tunnel, then you could skip 5 levels, Yeah. And I think sometimes when you look at life like that and listening to what you're saying, how I've heard you go back and say like, oh, you see yourself this way or you don't see yourself a certain way, the more we go through life and just practice and learn and beat these different levels in life, we get further and we learn. Or you said something like, had I have known back then, that's what we all say, right? Had I have known back then. But I don't know, I think it makes life less serious because sometimes, and this is what I'm going through, I take life so seriously that I'm just like, wait, I got to have a plan. I got to know what I'm doing with the rest of my life. I got to check off these boxes. And if I don't, then what? Then I start over and I keep moving forward, right? Like sometimes if you look at it from that perspective, you can kind of slow down and enjoy the moment and the season that you're in and the role that you're supposed to play, right? Like you said, but just really taking a second to slow down and just enjoy it for what it is. I'm in this season of life. I'm playing this role right now, but it's going to get me to a different level next year and the year after. And I don't know, I think that's just what I think of when I hear you talking about, the role and your experience in life. It's almost like, hey, it makes me feel like, God, I need to just chill out a little bit and have some fun going through this life and playing this role of this game and this role in this game of life, So that's my thought.
No, totally. Like it's like being aware of how you said, having like, it doesn't matter. When it comes down to it, really doesn't matter in a way, but it does, that's that. But you say like just being aware and then having, how you said, fun with it, like, as I said, like a 2-year-old falls down, but they don't contemplate for hours that they fell down, that they scraped their knees. They just do it again,
Yeah, you get back
up. We tend to fail and then contemplate about it and beat up. First, we beat up on ourselves, and then we're like, hey, you know what? Let me blame it on somebody else. And instead of just letting it be, it happened because it happened. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm in a position where I'm like, you know what? I'm at the same position these high school students are, in terms of skills I have to learn, in terms of education I have to do. And I might be further ahead that I'm aware of it and willing to keep on moving, but it is what it is. It's like, and we end up where we are because of what we thought, what we did. But then how you say, just take a deep breath. It is what it is. We can't change the past.
Have some fun. Yeah. And then enjoy. I like how you also said you have your foundation, your two people that you know no matter what you go on in life will always be your rock and your foundation. And you're right, people come in and out of your life, but if you turn around and focus on the solid foundation you have, or there are 2 or 3 people in life who are always there to pick you up, then what could go wrong, you know?
And then I was worried for a while. Just to finish on the foundation really quick, is so I have these people, and you kind of always know it. A lot of times we have people we can trust.
Mm-hmm.
But then we put this pressure on ourselves, thinking like, okay, who's the person that trusts me? Who is the person that thinks I'm the foundation?
Oh, yeah.
And then you forget, it's like, hey, maybe let me learn first. And maybe I need some time to become that foundation. And that's why I have my kids. And I really want that later on, that like, I learned so much and became strong enough that I can be that unconditional, non-judgmental foundation for them, without the pressure right now being like, okay, I can't do it yet, but that's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
And just accepting the help, in the sense of like, hey, there's a foundation I can trust on, and then build on that. But
you guys are just on fire, and it's gotten even better. But we've hit our hour mark, and I want to be respectful. So anybody that's with us now that needs to jump off, this is the official end of our session. Please remember to go log on to your social media and talk about what you learned, what insights did you get out of this particular conversation, and just hit us up with the hashtag time to come alive so that we can follow you and what you're saying. But this is not the official end. This is like, that was the official end, but the after show, I have a comment that I want to make based on what Adriana and what Jenss, you kind of piggybacked on. This whole idea of taking ourselves seriously, right? Or taking life seriously. I propose that when we're thinking about a child learning to walk, the difference in the way of being is that a child takes life seriously, but takes him or herself lightly, right? What I mean is that they know that in order to fulfill whatever they're here to fulfill, they need to learn this walking thing. Like, I need to find a way to balance myself, or whether or not they have the ability or not, I need to find a way to get to movement, or to get what my needs met. So life, I think, is being taken very seriously from that perspective. The difference is that, like you said, Jenss, they don't beat themselves up for not knowing how. Like, oh, I fell again. I can't do this anymore. This one thing is too hard. I don't. I'm never going to allow myself to be picked up and carried. No child says this. And as adults, somehow I think I would challenge you to start thinking about life being really serious.
It is.
But serious from the perspective of, man, we're in it. Yes, we're going to survive it. Yes, we're going to exercise our courage. We're going to fail miserably. We're going to succeed and be inspired. And I'm not such a big deal. You know, I'm not that big a deal. Like, I don't have to take myself so seriously that I beat myself up, or I criticize myself or others because somehow I didn't do it right, or I didn't figure it out, or I didn't move as far as I thought I would. Like, none of that stuff. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Adriana or Jenss, or anyone else on the call.
Adriana, you want to go?
Yeah, no, I love that thought about, you know, and sometimes we have to put it back in perspective. I don't know why we beat ourselves up, or I don't know why we put so much pressure and take life so seriously. I think you go back to what you said, where you feel like you're in this world fighting this battle all by yourself. And so when you learn to speak up and talk and have a powerful group around you that helps to pick you back up, or helps to push you along, like your mom does when you're a baby, right? Come on, get back up. We got to do this. We got to do that. Or your dad, mom or dad, either one. But yeah, I think that's kind of, I agree, Valerie, 100% of the challenge is just getting yourself back up and doing it again, and not beating yourself up, because that internal voice can beat yourself up way more and easier and faster than it builds yourself up, right? To take that next step, or take the next challenge, or jump for the next thing that terrifies you, you know?
Yeah, and we don't get
I think smaller tribes had a better handle on it, you know, where, let's say the Native Americans, you know, when they had a tribe, there was like, everybody had their certain strength, and that's what they contributed, but the livelihood of the whole tribe relied on, they realized it's not one person keeping society alive. and it was the collective. And now it seems like it starts from day one at school. We judge people individually. How good did you do in math? It's not like, hey, how did we as a class solve the problem? No, it's like you got an A, you got a B, you got a C. So you individualize, thinking like, which is good. Like we want people to exceed in their fields of strength, forgetting they can't exceed in it if they not know that it's all connected. They have to work together. It's like a machine. It's not one screw that's running the whole machine. It's the whole, it's the whole thing. And there's not one part. Because if you have even the strongest part, if the smallest screw is not there, the strongest part won't be able to work. Going back to like maybe the janitor, we treat the janitor as the small minor piece, but if he wasn't there, the place would be a dump, and people wouldn't go to a good conference. They wouldn't feel, or you go to the hospital, doctors couldn't treat patients if it was completely dirty. It's like this, and we forget that we're all in it together. And I think through that, it comes like that we all suddenly feel pressured to be a certain things because we want to be validated in life. And I think they asked Oprah Winfrey that, like with all her guests, it's like, what's the one thing you see in all people that you interview? And they said validation is the one thing that people really, they want to feel validated. And it's like this, hey, how can I want to contribute, and I want to feel like I'm contributing. There's this, like, you want to feel like that you're heard. You want to feel like that you're part of it. Going back to the screw needs to screw into something, feel like it's holding something. And I think through that, we have this pressure of all of a sudden realizing that life, how you said, like, it's serious business. It's like an adventure park. This is like a serious thing we have, and we can enjoy it, but we are not like we can be replaced. When it comes down to it, everyone can be replaced. But also then realizing, no, like for me, no, I don't want to be replaced, because if I'm not here, then I'm not experiencing it. So let's take pressure off my shoulders. Let's experience it. Let's contribute. But also to that, the less pressure I feel, I think the more validation you get, because the more real you get. And same thing. And the willingness to fail is like, as I said, a 2-year-old, how he said, they're not sitting down. And we as adults don't go there. What, you're still falling? You still can't walk? You're never going to learn how to walk. Just go back to your crib and never come out. We don't say that either. Like, oh, we encourage them. Yet we have a student that gets a C, like a lot of times, or B or F, like just by giving them that grade, we're beating up on them. Instead of like almost not giving a grade in a way and say like, hey, that's where you're at. Let's move you up. But it's just that judgment right away. Like first is the judgment, and then we might help. But it's the initial judgment, I think, that puts us in the spot of having to take ourselves too serious. It's like 2-year-old, oh, you fell again. It would be that judgment. Oh, it's an F, an F for being in balance. So, but how you said, life is like, let's take ourselves lightly. It's a good thing. And even if we make fools of ourselves, it's okay.
It's all in the way of being. I think what's different is our babies are curious. I think that's a quality that they demonstrate that helps them not take themselves so seriously. And curiosity, right? That's really the hallmark of a child. That's why they put things in their mouth. That's why they might say things or ask questions that we are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you asked that. But the lightness comes from curiosity. And I would assert that if we as adults engage our curiosity about ourselves, curiosity about our experiences, curiosity about our role, that the lightness comes back, right? That ability for us to just connect with the moment rather than what we expect and anticipate to happen. We have one more comment from Laura, and then we're going to begin the wrap up here. Yeah. But she mentioned the whole metaphor about baby learning to walk. That it's also important to keep people around you that do not hinder your ability to learn. For example, as much as an adult wants to help carry a baby to and from all the time, if the child is never allowed to try for themselves, they won't learn to walk on their own. And she mentioned that she tends to overhelp her friends and family a lot and sometimes needs to step back and focus on herself. Yes, Laura, absolutely. I do think that we have an ability to underestimate or undermine what people are capable of. And not only that, but that they have their own journey.
Mm.
Our standard, our expectation, or our particular journey doesn't necessarily parallel or mirror theirs at all sometimes. And I've had to learn that a lot. You know, my family every once in a while that no, I'm going to do it my way. Opinion, thank you for your idea. It's my thing.
But then also giving yourself and others the safe environment to do so.
Yes.
And that's where the judgment comes in, to be like, hey, this for one is not my journey, and they might be falling longer than we would hope for a thing, but then like, okay, if they keep falling for I don't know how long, to give that safe environment and the support until they walk. Well, if you want to keep that metaphor, to be like, hey, it's their journey, and if it takes them 20 years to learn how to walk, then let's be the person that supports them with this. If we can help, we help. If we can, we can. But if we can, then let's help them. So I think.
Love it. Wow, really insightful comments and conversation. Yes, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I know it's really early. You're in Bend, Oregon, correct? That's where you are.
Beautiful Bend, Oregon.
Bend, Oregon. Yes,
come and visit.
That's why he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt in Oregon.
He's spreading aloha in Germany and here.
There you go. You made that shirt?
No, I'm buying them. I bought it.
Okay.
Somebody who's better at making shirts made it.
Okay, good. But you sell shirts like that, you said, right?
In Germany, yeah. To spread aloha. Everybody needs aloha in their life.
Everyone needs aloha in Germany.
And it's like wearing it, like your favorite t-shirt. It brings memories to you. It's like wearing a certain attire that gives a feeling to you. The aloha shirt gives you a certain feeling. So
it's a way of being.
It's a way of, it is. So
yes.
It's not just.
Good.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you. You did a wonderful job. And I want to say thank you to anyone that took time to listen. Those of you who logged on to be live with us and give us your ideas, thoughts, comments, and just nothing else. Just create the space, kind of like what you said, Jan, safety, where you're able to express your thoughts and ideas. I can't wait till next week. We actually have our friend Adriana, who was just on.
Nice.
She's our guest next week on May 21st. She's a gifted event planner. She's also a mother, a wife, and all around good person. So I think in some of the things that she shared today, I'm sure will come up again. So looking forward to having you all join us next week. Jenss, thank you again so much. I hope that the meeting that you have this afternoon goes fantastically well as a stepping stone for you.
It's in an hour. Yay. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers. Cheers.